So it just so happens that in our 2025 bingo card, we have now had a situation where Nico Iamaleava, the quarterback from Tennessee, is having an NIL contract negotiations. Well, if you follow college athletics, NIL is a kind of a newer thing that has come and turned its ugly head, and now we are having contract negotiations between players and the collectives and trying to get their money right, which is still weird, but you know, we got to talk about this because this is absolutely insane. And from my point of view, I think this is leverage for him to get himself on another team that's not named Tennessee, in my humble opinion, as the spring portal window actually opens up here in the next 5 days, April 16th to April 25th, which is a 10-day window for these kids to go in the transfer portal and screw over their teams and coaches because they feel like this is not a good fit from what I originally committed to. That's a conversation for another day, but let's go ahead and get over to it. What this reminds me is the J.D. Rashada situation, regardless how we want to slice it. I understand he was owed some money with Florida, but then he ended up skedaddling out to a lesser school in Arizona State, started a couple games, never got his starting job back. And you know, you don't always get what you're promised, especially as a young kid in college where this is so new, and then you transfer to a worse team. And I think this could be the possibility that's going to happen. There might be a team that's desperate enough to go out there and grab this guy, but the culture that you're already setting for yourself as you transfer to another school, if that's what's to happen from this, is it's going to possibly be frowned upon. And I understand, go ahead and make your money however you want to, but this doesn't put anything in a good light. Now, if you look at the dynamic of what Tennessee just went through, he just lost all his star receivers, right? Brew McCoy, Dante Thornton, both went out and considered the NFL draft, and they've gone through the draft process right now and are not Tennessee wide receivers at this point in time. Squirrel White decided to enter the winter transfer portal period, where that's the most logical place to enter the transfer portal, and now he's at Florida State. And so you lose three of your top weapons, and most importantly, you lose the SEC running back of the year, who everybody thought was going to come back, and Dylan Sampson, and now he's pursuing the NFL draft as well after being the SEC's best running back last year. Understanding the full dynamic of that, I get it from his standpoint, but if this is an attempt to hold Tennessee hostage, that way you can enter the transfer portal and see if you can make more money elsewhere, I'm sadly mistaken to say that, you know, from your standpoint, Nico, I don't think that you're going to make more money than what's actually being offered. And if it's $4 million and that's what you want for a college quarterback that lost in the first round of the college football playoff and really couldn't elevate his team, I think Dylan Sampson was the one that's elevated them. Every time I watch Tennessee, I'm like, you leave a lot on the table, Nico. I understand you had the talent there, but that's just from my perspective. What about his teammates right now? That's what I think everybody should be concerned about. What about his teammates there at Tennessee right now? What is an impression that you're giving on them? You just got a 5-star offensive tackle, David Sanders, that probably committed because he wanted to block for you. You have that to consider. You got Star Thomas, the star running back from Duke, that came over to fill in for Dylan Sampson. Amari Jefferson transferred in from Bama, the wide receiver out there, to play with a talented guy like you. What about Sam Pendleton, who was a interior offensive lineman that has just came off of a national championship caliber type team at Notre Dame and transferred to you to block for you? What about those guys that you're now leaving behind and you're putting them in a tough spot? Again, I'm projecting motivations here. You got to understand that these kids are looking at the full dynamic, and Nico gives you a lot to be desired as far as the tools in the toolkit, and maybe he can put it together in his third year of eligibility so far. I don't know. I just think that this whole situation in a nutshell is absolutely incredibly stupid, and I understand they want to make their money, but to have this leverage as a college student that really hasn't proved a lot when you consider the variables. Pretty good defense and the best running back in the SEC was on your team, and having three pretty good wide receivers. Like, offensive line is okay as well. What about Josh Heupel at the end of the day? What does he think? Because now you're going to put him in the bind if you decide to go into the spring portal window. What if the next quarterback that steps up in Tennessee is better than what you were last year with not as much talent being on that team? It's a lot of variables to consider here, Nico. Nico, and I hope you take a step back. I know his family is involved, and I'm not saying anything as the kid as a person. I'm just saying that this is a bad look so far, and what everybody feared that college athletics could be at this point in time. I want to know your guys' comments and thoughts in the comments section, man. Let me know how you feel about this. Is this a black eye on college football? You know, is the spring portal window is something that you get frustrated even as a fan of your own teams? Like, there's a lot to consider here, and now we can hold the spring portal window over people's head without penalty. Now we're holding NIL deals, and the last thing is the dude didn't even show up to practice today. So to me, ridiculous. If you're going to sit out of practice because of some NIL money, you should be getting the same punishment that any player that had the obligation to play for this team and under obviously a scholarship, that they have an obligation to show up to every single practice that they are mentally and physically able to be there for. While your brothers are grinding, you're out here talking about that you want to go through contract negotiations. Look, Cloud ESPN has been a very reputable source as well when it comes to reporting on these things, so I have no other choice but to believe the guy. He's hit time and time again. I just wanted to throw that out there. But I've been 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗲𝘀, man, from East Coast Gridiron. Let me know what your thoughts are, and hopefully this gets resolved sooner than later, because this is, to me, is a black eye on college athletics in general.